Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the YouthLead webinar series. I'm Maria Brindelmeyer, the Senior Knowledge Management Specialist and YouthLead Coordinator with the Youth Power Learning Project at Making Sense International. Before we get started with our speakers for today, a few housekeeping instructions. Please help share the information more widely on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and you can see our hashtags and handles above. The slides and the recording will be shared on youthlead.org after the webinar. On today's webinar and other webinars, you'll get to know our team members. I'm the one on the left, and you can see Abolaji Omitogon and Ikena Anyadise, two Atlas Core Fellows from Nigeria who focus on knowledge management and communications for both youthlead.org and youthpower.org, including content maintenance and webinars. Nilima Raut, the second from the left, is the project manager for YouthLead and also an Atlas Core Fellow from Nepal. YouthLead is a component of the Youth Power Learning project, and Youth Power Learning is focused on sharing knowledge, learning, tools, and best practices, and what works in positive youth development with the broader development community and with youth. We have defined positive youth development as containing 4 components. Youth should have assets, that could be skills or funding, should have the ability to leverage those assets, that means agency, and the ability to contribute to positive change for themselves and their communities. And youth should also be surrounded by an enabling environment that supports them. Until last year, Youth Power Learning's main focus was on youth supporting organizations, for example, organizations that were implementing youth programs or doing research about youth programs. But the focus had not been on youth themselves as a target audience for the website. With YouthLead, which was launched at the World Bank's Youth Summit in December 2018, the focus is on young changemakers 15 to 35 years old. So let me hand it over to Nilima. Nilima, tell us a little bit more about YouthLead.
Thank you, Maria. The vision for YouthLead is to become the global hub for young changemakers aged 15 to 35, enabling them to maximize their impact through networking, mentoring, and accessing information. The platform offers a great opportunity for youth, different countries, different networks, to inspire and learn from each other, connect beyond their traditional circles, and benefit from many diverse resources and information. And with Google Translate on every page, it is available to a larger group of youth. We have selected over 20 young changemakers as YouthLead ambassadors. The ambassadors are sharing information about YouthLead with their networks and increasing engagement with YouthLead through discussion groups, social media, and now also by sharing their experiences through webinars. In addition to selecting the YouthLead ambassadors, we are also organizing campaigns. For example, a photo contest and a video contest. We are organizing campaigns, mini campaigns by topic, example on mental health or peace building with relevant resources. And we are organizing webinars, some led by ambassadors, some by YouthLead sponsors. We have over 20 sponsors that are collaborating on YouthLead. Now, let me hand it over to today's host of the webinar.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Abolaji, and today's webinar topic is titled Developing an Entrepreneurial Mindset for Social Innovation. We are really delighted to have one of our YouthLead ambassadors present his experience and lessons learned from different perspectives on the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Pakistan. Our speaker for today is Ilyas from Pakistan. Ilyas is a social entrepreneur leading innovation through community development activities in Pakistan. Would allow Elias to do a more detailed introduction about himself. For now, we will not take questions until the end of the presentation. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat on the right hand side of your screen. We'll get to the questions at the end of the webinar, the presentation by Elias. I will now hand over to Elias, who will introduce himself in full. Elias?
Thank you, Abulaji. As Abulaji said, my name is Elias. I'm a youth lead ambassador from Pakistan and a social entrepreneur as well. I'm involved in the sector of education, governance, and engaging youth in decision-making process by giving them opportunities in social and economic development. One of the example I'll put it in here is one preschool program where I was conducting capacity building trainings for the youth in the region of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is the province of Pakistan, and giving them opportunities to play their part in social as well as economic development of their communities by starting small businesses or small social enterprise. That would be the perfect term, like early childhood development centers, where they would start centers for enhancing communities or giving an opportunity of early childhood development to the communities, because the concept was new in Pakistan, and also the concept of social entrepreneurship was new in Pakistan, and right now it is emerging. We thought of this concept because this is something that is going to work in the future. If you look at the world, everything is corporate. Big companies, multinational companies, even local companies making a lot of profit, but they are forgetting some key concepts of people, planet, and instead of this, they have focused on profit only. So in the social entrepreneurship ecosystem, we are thinking of a tri-sector, that is people, planet, and profit. So we are not only focusing on profit, we are also focusing on people and planet. We take a social issue that is rising up in a community, then we are coming up with the solutions for that social issue, and then creating a business model over that issue, so that we can counter that issue, as well as by taking care of the people, the planet, as well as creating some profit. Because if you don't have the profit component in any organization, not in every case but in many cases, you wouldn't be sustainable. So the profit component in social entrepreneurship is very interesting, because along with people and the planet are the issue that you are more interesting about, you're also taking care of the sustainability factor, which is by generating profit as well as resolving a local issue. In Pakistan, I along with my team took an initiative of preschooling, which was a new concept. People were not aware of what the preschool is, what is early childhood development. So we got into the communities, did some research, conducted a lot of focus group discussions with the community and different stakeholders, and then we came up with an idea, like why not having a early childhood development center in each specific colony. We call it colony in Pakistan, or a street, so that the kids from the children from 3 to 5 years shouldn't go long way, but they should have something, a 1 room or 2 room early childhood development center in their own street, and can go there and can be engaged in cognitive development, social development, as well as learning something productive. So this was the concept that we developed in Pakistan, and
Yep. Please go ahead, Ilyas.
Okay, so under this concept, what we did that we explore some bulk of change makers from different communities. After conducting some research, we got to know some people who are interested about the concept, who are interested about bringing a positive change in their communities. This was happened through a lot of advocacy campaigns, focus group discussions, corridor meetings, stuff like that. But then once we had a final list of people who were passionate about a social change by early childhood development centers establishment in their communities, so we enhanced their capacities, starting from how to run their business, then teaching them every component that is necessary for starting and running an early childhood development center. We gave them a complete curricula that was focused on children from 3 to 5 years of age, so that help the young social entrepreneur to start their business, as well as running the business, running the social enterprise successfully. I mentioned this is a business, but it is a social enterprise because they were coping up two issues: the issue of social development as well as economic development. So with this kind of concept, we have people right now, almost 180 centers in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, who are successfully running their social enterprises. The program was initially funded by DFID, but after a year and a half, we also converted our model as a social enterprise too. Initially, we were giving trainings in the curricula and everything for free to keep the system running, but later on, after a year and a half, we converted our model to a social enterprise too. We were training people, but we were charging them for the training too. We were giving them equipments and furnitures and everything, but we were charging them for everything that was provided by us along with our technical support, which was to monitor the centers, to guide them time to time what they need to bring them to their centers. So this was the whole concept that happened in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. This brought a lot of success to the community because the community was eager to have something innovative in their at their doorsteps. As I said earlier, the concept of early childhood development is new in Pakistan, and it is in emerging stage. But we do have big companies, big education chains who are charging a lot of money from people, but people in rural areas were not able to have that kind of financial support where they can afford $100 for monthly tuition fee for a child, but they were able to afford $10 per month for a child. So what we did, we get the model and establish this model in rural areas where we had the customer, we had young passionate social entrepreneur who established their early childhood development centers and were providing this were and is currently providing the service in communities for the greater good of education and keeping the system of learning, the system of eradicating social issues alive. And there were some good practices, like we didn't go for too big. We started centers from one room. So one room was mostly a room in a house where someone has a spare room, or someone has a spare room in a yard for free. So, and the person was like, okay, I'm jobless and I have a room in my house free that can be used for something very productive. So we started from less investment, and then step by step getting bigger. So once we changed the mindset of communities, then we were able to grab more and more students. Then people were like, hey, this person is taking the child to that center, let my child study there. So then from starting less, then we went for bigger and bigger. Initially we were having a 1 or 2 room centers, and then we got like 5 room centers. Initially we were having 15 students in a center, but then we got some centers where they were having 75 and 80 students as well. Then it's also best to kind of go for a location that is accessible. In normal routine businesses, we are going for fanciest location, but in our sector we focused on a location that was close to the community, that was easily accessible, and there were no security issues as well. And along with that, we also focused on like, okay, hey, this room is free with that social entrepreneur in his or her house. Then we engaged communities. Once we started the advocacy, we also brought local stakeholders in that concept, like, hey, what if we bring this kind of system in this community? What would be your reaction? So from that advocacy campaigns in those community meetings, we get a lot of feedback. Like people are saying, hey, we would like to have my child, our children in that centers. If you are able to establish centers in my street or in my community. We conducted regular meetings with them. We onboarded them with everything, because sometimes if you are doing your practice in a conservative society, in a society which is very sensitive culturally or religiously, so you should onboard the community, because if one person just say that this is something against our culture or our religion, then you won't have your business the next day. So we onboarded community, onboarded local stakeholders, religious scholars as well, and with that we got the back of the community. So the community was able to support us. So it didn't take like more than 5 months to come on the break-even point, and later stages we were able to get profits too. Initially, working on the mindset was a bit difficult, because in rural areas people are not able to earn a lot of money because they have a job that gives them hardly $200. So in $200 you have a family of 5 to 6 people, and running that 5 to 6 members family in Pakistan with $200 is something kind of a daydream. So we work on the mindset of them, like, hey, if you are spending some money on this kind of stuff, why not to spend that money on the education of your child, and then your child can learn a lot of things at this stage, and then what would be the next stage for him, like, if, okay, at the age of 3 to 5 your child is able to understand a lot of things which is necessary for them, and you are not going to waste your child if it is at your home, at your center. And this was something we did to change the mindset, which was very tough at the beginning, because people were not able to accept this thing. Like, normally people are admitting their children in schools at the age of 5 or 6, but if you tell them like, hey, bring a 3-year-old to my centers, then that is not going to happen. So yeah, we involved the communities, and with the passage of time things were changed. What should be the advice for young social entrepreneurs? The most important thing is research. Wherever you go, what is your purpose? What kind of issues you are passionate about, or you want to solve, or what kind of issues you are facing in your community, or in a specific place where you want to get in. Do a lot of research. Research is the most important tool, most important even than having the initial investment too. Because if you conduct some research where you would like to start your social enterprise, then you'll be able that, okay, this is the best place to run my social enterprise. This is the issue that I'll be able to work on. This is the community where I'll get a lot of customers, and this is the community or mindset where the social issue that I'm working on will work, and the community will back you. If you're not researching, you're just digging, you're not digging in the research, then you'll face a lot of challenges. But sometimes it is okay if you're challenging the status quo, because if you see a lot of businesses, they have social enterprise, they were successful, they are successful because of the reason that they have challenged the status quo. It is okay to challenge the status quo, but it is also good to do a lot of research. So once you do a lot of research, then you'll find ways to get better in your social enterprise, and you get customer and improve your services and have the backup of the community stakeholders. As I said, engage elders, scholars and community members in your social enterprise, in the issue that you're passionate about. Then also you will have like a lot of a free platform, like in a country like Pakistan, you have a system of mosques. Like you can go to mosque and just, okay, there's a community of like a group of 100 people sitting in front of you, and just stand out and say like, hey, this is the concept I have brought in here, what is your views on that? Use social media, free all over the world, a good platform. You just need a little bit of text that you can learn from YouthLead website. There's a lot of good toolkits on social media on YouthLead website, so go over there and study those toolkits, and then dig into social media to promote your social enterprise. How can YouthLead play a role in your social enterprise? YouthLead is an interesting platform. Interesting in a way, you have a platform where you can interact with hundreds of young change makers from different parts of the world, from your own communities, from your country as well. So you can interact with them, you can share your problems or your stories with them, and ask for advice, or ask for what their opinion is about your any issue or business or social enterprise, or and then you can create a lot of discussion forums. Along with discussion forums, you will have a lot of toolkits, funding opportunities, and different kind of resources that can really help you to promote your business, to learn the concept, to run your business, to run your social enterprise as well. As I said, the platform is so impressive that you can seek help from other young change makers. I'm fond of YouthLead because I have like a lot of issues that is coming up on my way while dealing with daily business, daily issues. Like I ask people, hey, what could be the best solution for this, and peer advice as well. So things like that is available for free for you under the platform of YouthLead. And if you have an issue that you're passionate about, and then you go on the youth lead, so you'll find people who are passionate about that specific issue too, and then you'll find ways how they have countered that specific problem in their communities. Ask for help them. Like in my communities, this was early childhood development center, so I asked some people recently. So I found two people who said like, okay, we were dealing with this kind of issue, and we then resolved issue like this. So you can have like this kind of collaborative environment under the YouTube platform, and that can help you in different ways.
We have some questions actually from our audience here. And the first question is that what were the initial steps that you took before starting your organization?
So we're like a group of 3 people. I was a project management guy, and the other 2 were education experts. So what we did, we were looking at the issues of education in our communities. So we came up with a solution like, hey, why not to work on early childhood development? So we had a team, the team of 3 people, passionate about education and change in our community. And then like after conducting some informal research, talking to different education experts and community as well, so we came up with this idea like, okay, early childhood development is something that we can dig in and can be successful too. But then we were not able to actually go to every community to start early childhood development centers because we were only 3 people. So what we did, we kind of institutionalized this idea of early childhood development centers establishment by engaging youth from different communities with their own money, and then enhancing their capacity, and then starting the centers in their communities.
And the next
so this
question
is something we come up
how were you able to
initially,
develop
and then
curriculums that
after
you
a few
use?
months we got funding
What
from
resources
Deloite
can you
for
point
this
out other
program,
young change makers
and
who intend
yeah,
to
that
do
was the story.
carry out the same activity or project?
So we were lucky enough to get already developed curricula from an organization. So that organization was also funded by the same donor that we were funded by. So the donor helped us in a way to get that curricula. So we had like a full-fledged manual on establishing early childhood development centers, as well as we also had lessons for students, for children's 3 to 5 years of age. Then the team member, two of my team member were having expertise in education, and they were also having their own schools, so they were like kind of aware of every step involved in this whole process. So yeah, that was something helped us in having curricula on hand, manuals on hand, and coming up with this idea of
pitching your ideas and
social enterprise establishments.
Your donors or your funders. What components were you thinking about when developing your proposal?
When the proposal once we were developing for DEFES, we were more focused on the issue. Then what we did once we pitched the idea of early childhood development and how it's gonna impact both the economic development and social development component in our societies. This was very interesting. Like you were countering 2 issues with one solution. Like you have a center in hand where children can study, and you have someone who is earning money from that center too. So that was an interesting part. But what we did that was different from other social enterprises or non-profit was we engaged the donors as well, like, hey, we want full transparency, we are not gonna do anything that is lawful, so you can hire someone and that can be with us all the time. So that was something that gained the confidence of the donor. So that was very interesting, like, okay, if someone is asking us for full accountability and we are ready with that, so that was another point. But the most interesting thing was a model of social entrepreneurship, as well as countering two issues, like you're providing education and you're also providing employment opportunities to people, our youth who are jobless and don't have opportunities to play their role in economic development as well as social development.
Local stakeholders in the community. The second question is, what role does gender play in your project, and how are you ensuring that your project reflects gender balance, most especially in ensuring easy accessibility to education for the girl child, and taking that into consideration in your project?
In our case, the challenges were like changing the mindset of people, like if someone hasn't studied himself or herself and you're telling them, hey, bring your 3-year-old or 4-year-old to my center, this was something very hard to convince people like this would be beneficial for them. But what we did was including local leaders, local community leaders, religious scholars, and we call them malaks. The malaks are like a kind of a leader of a tribe. So we engaged them and we first shared our concept with them, and then we gathered the communities, and in front of communities they were the people who were our voices, and those leaders were like convincing people, hey, this concept will be very helpful for all children because children won't waste their time, they will have something constructive to do during the daytime. So we engaged, we fully engaged community in different ways, either through religious scholars, either through local tribe leaders or community leaders, and that helped in a lot of ways. That was kind of like free publicity for us as well, like we didn't spend a lot of money on that component. Then talking about gender was something very impressive in our social enterprise, because with this concept, the whole idea was like in every community we have females who are jobless, and then we have cultural issues too, like in rural areas, in many cases, not in every case, but in some cases, females are not allowed to go and work for 8 hours a day somewhere, but they are allowed to work within their family or within that specific community, because the community is very social and they know everyone, so they feel safe within the community. So we kind of engage those females who has like education enough for running a early childhood development center, who has a room spare at her house. So yeah, this was like somehow we engaged them. Then we faced an issue like how you are going to bring someone from 50 kilometers far to a training center. So what we did, we took those experts who were trained with us and conducted trainings closest to 10 to 15 communities, and then we allowed their parents or brothers to come into the training center and can spend the day with us, so that they have full confidence in us that nothing is going wrong in this place, and all it is going is to enhance their capacities. And then once you have something established and people get the benefit from that specific thing, then you won't have this kind of issues coming on your way, because in majority of our cases, once the centers were at break even and they are at some time later they were able to earn some money, then those were the people who were praising us, who were asking for
Wonderful.
more advice,
Wonderful.
who were
Thank you very much,
asking
Ilyas. Thanks
or
for
come to
sharing,
the center
those
and
really
see how
interesting
we have
insights into
progressed,
your
how
project
my
and
daughter has
activities.
progressed
I
the
will be
center.
I'll be
So
checking on
that
our
was something.
Facebook
But
audience, our live audience, to
yeah,
get
this
questions
was a
directly
major
from you.
challenge for us,
Um,
and we were able
all
to
right, so
ensure
we're gonna proceed.
40%.
Thank you. If you have not yet joined YouthLead.org, we encourage you to do so. This will enable you to network with other young change makers and join discussion groups. As a member, you can also post content, example, resources, blogs, short videos, events, funding opportunities, and you can join discussion groups. You can also post your projects to get more visibility for them. And for every contribution, you earn points and will earn badges based on those points. Every month, members also get the new Youth Lead newsletter, which highlights young change makers. You can also follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And above all, reach out to the speakers and continue the discussion about this topic in the Youth Lead discussion group. Before we close, we want to thank the many sponsors on YouthLead. In addition to funding, they contribute resources and youth networks to the platform. You will hear some of them on future webinars. And last but not least, we thank you for joining us. We hope you will join our next webinar in about 2 weeks. Check the events on YouthLead for new announcements. And as we said in the beginning, the slides and the recording will be made available to all of you on youthlead.org and sent to all registrants. We hope to see you next time. Thank you.